Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up here on today's show, we're going to be looking at the Raiders' playoff chances after their monumental win over the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day. I'm going to tell you who you need to have win upcoming week here. I'm going to tell you what the Raiders' playoff chances are now and if they end up winning out. And I'll give you also the brand new look at the NFL playoff picture. Shout out to today's sponsor, Manscape. And if anybody doesn't already know, 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. Go to manscaped.com. Use code Raiders if you need a last minute. Actually, it's already past that. If you just need an awesome gift for 2024. So coming up here, we're going to be looking at the Raiders' playoff chances after a 20-14 win over the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas. I've watched a lot of football games in my day. I am unbelievably proud in this Raiders team. I am unbelievably proud of Anontio Pierce. He's going to be your brand new head coach next season. I mean, you better get ready to lock that bad boy in. Anontio Pierce will be the Raiders head coach next season because of how well this defense is playing. We always know the old saying, defense wins championships. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year, hell, if you would have told me on Christmas morning that the Raiders were going to be able to get a win and their quarterback did not complete a single pass, 0 yards in the second, third, and fourth quarter against the Kansas City Chiefs in a primetime game in Arrowhead, I would have said you're freaking crazy. I mean, this is the best this defense has ever played since I've covered them, and it's definitely not close. My point is this. Anontio Pierce is coaching Inspiring Football. Patrick Graham has done an unbelievable job. He deserves to win Coordinator of the Year with how well he has done this season. But the reason why you're watching the show right now is despite the Raiders being 7-8, despite this team still having an outside chance to make the playoffs, if you don't believe in what you saw against the Chargers on Thursday night, then if you don't believe in this team after them beating the Chiefs on Christmas Day, well, I don't know what I got to do to tell you. You just got to believe a little bit. So you got to tell me down below, what is the percentage chance that you would give the Raiders to make the playoffs right now? What's the percentage chance? Funny thing, you're about to get hit with the YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down. Let me know because I'm about to tell you what the percentage chance is right now for the Raiders to make the playoffs. After their monumental win against Kansas City, as it stands right now, according to the New York Times in their simulator for the way that the season goes, the Raiders, as it stands right now, have a 13% chance to make the playoffs. And I'm going to tell you what that percentage chance is if they beat the Colts, if they beat the Broncos. I'll also tell you what it is if they happen to lose one of those games. We'll get into the AFC playoff picture, all that kind of good stuff. But I do want to tell you what the AFC playoff picture is right now because I'm trying to be an honest person here, okay? And this is before the Ravens and 49ers game. I had to film this show late Monday night, Christmas night, because Jeremy and I, we're going to sleep in a little bit. Don't worry, we're still going to be live tomorrow here on the Raiders Report, 4 p.m. Eastern time. But we don't know the winner of the Ravens game. So as it stands, you got the number 3 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs. At number 4, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars after they dropped a few games at 8-7. But then look at it from there on out. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think Buffalo's in. I think the Browns are in. It's that final number 7 spot. Houston at 8-7. The Colts at 8-7. Indy, we'll see you next week. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. I'm telling y'all right now, the Raiders have a chance. If they take care of business, and I mean that, if they take care of business, I think that they're going to find a way in just because of the way that a lot of these other games go, which we'll talk about throughout the remainder of the week here. But I do got to tell y'all about today's awesome sponsor. I told you about Manscape. Manscape's one of our OG sponsors here at the Raiders Report. And I feel like when you watch a game like you just watched there, man, I'm talking to all the OGs out there. All the frustrating Raiders defensive games to the guys repping out there in Oakland. If anybody pulled up to our watch party when the Raiders took down Kansas City, shout out to all of y'all. And we got a deal, man, that's going on right now that I really, really, really want y'all to pay attention to because I want you to step into 2024 with confidence thanks to Manscaped, where resolutions are met and hairs are kept, well, nicely. As the new year approaches, why not make self-improvement a breeze by keeping your body well-groomed? Introduce Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. Manscaped is hooking up the nation. All you got to do is go to manscaped.com, use code Raiders to save 20% off. Hell, the premium Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is normally $257, and you can get it now for $112. All you got to do, 20% off, free shipping, code Raiders at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code Raiders. Happy New Year to the nation. Merry Christmas to every single person out there. If you got coal in your stocking, it's probably because, well, Santa already knew that you were going to get a Raiders dub over the Kansas City Chiefs. Hell of a deal. Keep it rocking and rolling. Manscaped.com. Make sure that you use code Raiders. All right, we're going to keep it rolling here on today's show. We're going to look at the playoff chances now. So the Raiders have a 33% chance to make the playoffs if they beat the Colts. So again, this is just kind of going into the idea that we don't know who's going to win Week 17, but there are a few really, really big games next week that are going to have big-time impacts on whether or not the Silver and Black are going to be able to make the playoffs. However, for what we know, if the Raiders take down Indy, you go to 8-8 on the season, you're going to have a 33% chance to make the playoffs. And this past week, I mean, Indy sucked. I mean, they got their shit pushed in against the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta got a win at home 29-10. And I mean, Gardner Minshew did not play a solid game. Jonathan Taylor was unable to run the football. This offensive line, they really, really struggled. And the way that the Raiders defense played against Kansas City on Christmas, if you're going up against a weak offensive line, man, you got to have a little bit of confidence here. So to me, I look at this game as a very, very winnable football game. And we will be live for this football game. Raiders at Indianapolis. I want the Raiders to walk in Indy with a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. Last year, they got embarrassed. Yeah, Josh McDaniels, head coach football team, going up against Jeff Saturday, who comes off the bench, basically coaching high school football, and was able to take down the Raiders. If you don't walk into next week's game with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, I'm really going to question who's going to be repping that jersey. You got to have a playoff mentality. You got to have a us against the world mentality every single week. And guess what? We're going to be live next week. Raiders, Colts. I know what the day is. It's actually going to be Chuck's birthday, so happy birthday to Chuck. But it's also going to be the brand new year, and there's no better way that I want to welcome in 2024 than that is with a Raiders dub over the Indianapolis Colts. Let's keep this stream alive. You want to tune in? Subscribe. You want to join us for our live show next week? Subscribe. Tomorrow, sub. Raiders videos. Hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Let's go to the final one here, which is probably the reason why all y'all are watching. If the Raiders, who just beat the Chiefs, if you beat the Colts and then you beat the Broncos, you have a 65% chance to make it. Is that 100%? Of course not. But again, you have to look at which teams are playing which teams Week 17, Week 18. If the Raiders be able to take care of business against two teams right now that are in that wild card race, 65% chance if you can beat your next two opponents. For you to be able to beat Kansas City in Arrowhead, anything's possible, man. And if you don't believe, then, man, you better start believing. I've always said, it's just win, baby. I don't want this mentality to tank. I don't want this mentality where players are just going to give up, fold over, no matter what. And I'll say this again, no matter what, even if you make the playoffs, you've got to find yourself a new quarterback. The way this defense has played has been unbelievable this season. It's the top 3 unit right now. Antonio Pierce deserves his job. Patrick Graham deserves coordinator of the year. I actually hope that another team doesn't steal him away from the Silver and Black. And if Patrick Graham ends up getting a head coaching job, dude deserves it after what he has been able to do this season. But I know this. I said that if Antonio Pierce, his Raiders team, was able to take down and take care of business against Kansas City, he deserves a job, and I'll stick with that. Antonio Pierce deserves this job, and if you believe in that and you made it this far in the video, spam AP right now. So let's go and look at our programming schedule for the remainder of our holiday week. Jeremy Chuggs and I, we're going to be live tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't want you to miss it. Then we're going to be live Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't want to miss it. Then live Sunday. Got to wake up a little early. We're going to get the mimosas flowing against the Indianapolis Colts. From me, from Jeremy Chuggs, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and oh my, if you don't think that this team has a shot to make the playoffs, I don't know if you're a real one. Cheers to all y'all out there. Merry Christmas. Peace out.